Hey, God bless you, dear ones, and welcome to Tech Tuesday. I have a reflection today I've entitled Anti-Human Technology. So much of the technology that's being developed today in the secular West, driven by not Christian presuppositions about reality, but purely secular and often transhumanist concepts of ethics and a vision of life, have produced unbelievably anti-human technology. And I'd like to speak about one of those forms of technology today. But before I do, let me just make the affirmation that the transhumanist agenda is anti-human at its core. Anti-human at its core. And that's for several reasons. One is that they have no affirmation. The transhumanists are unbelievers on principle, atheistic in principle. There is no one creator God, and therefore he has not fashioned man uniquely in his image. So the human race is not made in the image of God. The human race is not the bearer of a sanctified body and an immortal soul. And so Jesus' teaching on the fact that man is body and soul is irrelevant. And therefore, he does not have the basic powers of the human soul, including free will, by the way, and freedom. As much as the transhumanists love to talk about their commitment to wanting to increase the freedom of choice of people, really they have no philosophical rooted concept of why freedom is precious at all. They have their experience, of course they like it, but they can't root it actually in a worldview or in theology. I'd like to read you a word from the Transhumanist Declaration. Okay, this is 2009. We advocate the well-being of all sentient beings. We advocate the well-being of all sentient beings, including humans. Had to get that in there, right? What they really care about, their true goal in life, is all sentient beings. And who are those? Including humans, non-human animals, and any future artificial intellects, modified life forms, or other intelligences to which technological and scientific advance may give rise. Oh, listen to what they're saying. Think through that. Yeah, we'll put the word human in there, but they're putting us on the sentient line together with non-human animals, any future artificial intellects, modified life forms. Now, what is that? Or, this is like some cyborg reality here, or other intelligences to which technological and scientific advance may give rise, as though somehow there's going to be a rise of intelligences, of consciousness through these scientists and technocrats. The arrogance is just breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. But it also is a recipe for the tremendous degradation of the human race. There's nothing particularly unique about human. We're a form of intelligence. Nothing particularly unique about ourselves. We can change ourselves into other things and combine with other forms of sentient beings, and we're for it all. And ironically, listen to this. They also follow this up with, we favor allowing individuals wide personal choice over how they live their lives. Now, let me ask you something. We just went through an incredible societal test in the West, really throughout the world, but driven by the West, of what a technological worldview looks like with regards to freedom. Do you feel that the test has clearly evidenced that those who are in power are tremendously committed to your freedom? Do you feel that way? Did COVID communicate that message to you, that those who are driving our culture in this transhumanist fashion are really committed to you being free? I think not. Yes, what a joke that is. So what we have, based upon this very deficient theology and anthropology, of course, is an increasingly rising number of anti-human technologies. And I'd like to particularly focus upon the technologies, medical technologies, that are being used to kill people, especially to further the practice of euthanasia. I'd like to use as an example what's happened in Canada and compare it to something that's happening here in the state of California. Canada legalized assisted suicide and doctor assisted suicide as well, euthanasia in 2016. This is an incredible sadness, of course, and it has led to terrible consequences, some of which I'll mention in a second. But I want to point out first that whenever you have a worldview transition from a worldview of the West that was rooted in Christian morality and common law, based upon that morality, into something that's radically secular and transhumanist in its core, what you have is a period of transition in which you still have the remnants of the old, right? You still have transhumanists talking in Christian language about the dignity of people and freedom and all that, which has no root in their vision, can't be justified in their vision. And so to apply this old morality, you still have to have a nod given to it by those in power. At the same time, advancing a whole new ethic that has been consistently condemned by traditional Christian Europe in the past and by Christian morality. So here we are. Euthanasia, which has always been forbidden by Christians, is now being propagated. And at the same time, those secularists who are propagating it are telling us how much they care about people not hurting themselves. They don't want people to kill themselves. And so here we are in Canada, let's say. Canada has a national suicide prevention hotline. And at the other end of that hotline, if someone is feeling like they want to kill themselves and they're concerned about that, and so they call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, and someone on the other end is a compassionate listener and does everything they can to talk out of suicide those who are calling. This is a very Christian thing to do because suicide is not good for any human being. Suicide is self-murder, and it doesn't, unlike murdering someone else, it's even worse because you have no time to repent after you've killed yourself. It is a great sorrow indeed. At the same time that they are promoting their national suicide prevention hotline, they've also created a direct access to euthanasia, to both for help in assisted suicide and also in medically assisted suicide. That's a distinction that they make there. So they have there what's called the Medical Assistance in Dying Program, MAID, M-A-I-D, Medical Assistance in Dying Program. And of those who kill themselves in Canada, and I'll give you some numbers on that in a second, 99% do it not by killing themselves, not by calling and getting counsel on how to do that. They can do that. Right? So depending on what number you call, you're going to have two different recipients at the end of the line. One trying to talk you out of killing yourself, the other trying to help you to do it and make it easy. Now, how do you put those two together? Well, they just want to make options available without any commitment to actually any moral framework. Well, is it good to talk to someone out of suicide, or is it bad? And they talk about having good reasons to want to die and bad reasons to want. Well, who makes up those reasons? Who are these great new ethical legislators? Who is the new Moses? Who is the new Christ in the secular culture? Who are describing exactly what are good reasons for killing yourself and what are bad reasons for killing? Is it Justin Trudeau? Is it some medical professional? Is it some public health official that we just discovered really can control your life like you've never known? I didn't even know there was such a thing as public health officials until COVID. At least not relevant ones. No, here's what's going on. We have this terrible promotion of new anti-human technology, medical technologies to help people kill themselves. And since 2016, the statistics are truly horrifying. And more accounts are coming in Canada of people wanting to get help. Perhaps they're distressed because they have terrible pain management, or they have very bad housing, or they have bad social services, or they can't get doctor's appointments or whatever. And they're calling and being guided on how they can be killed by a doctor to get out of their circumstances. Of course, from a Christian perspective, that is never a legitimate option. That is never a good idea when circumstances of your life are terrible like this, to make them worse by killing yourself. At the same time, besides that, we also have lots of accounts being documented now of vets, for instance, calling the Veterans Affairs Council in Canada, asking for things like help with their PTSD, or calling and asking for, there was one account of a woman who wanted a ramp, a handicap ramp, and being offered euthanasia. So the person on the end of the line is hearing someone who says, I need help with my PTSD. And the question that they have asked them is, would you like to apply for euthanasia? Can you imagine? Actually facilitating, encouraging people to die. And if you think that maybe that's just a few cases, let me end with some numbers here. A good comparison between what's happening in Canada and what's happening elsewhere here in California, which is the most radical of all the 50 states in the United States with regards to this problem. This is a good comparison, Canada and California. They're about the same population, around 40 million people. They both legalized euthanasia in 2016. Here are some numbers. In 2021, 486 people killed themselves, were euthanized in the state of California. Now that is extremely grievous, and I wish that was not the case. But now listen to Canada. Same amount of people, same year, 2001 in Canada, 10,064 people. They are driving a train of euthanasia promotion. And this is just another example of the grotesque, anti-human medical technologies that have arisen, driven by this secular and transhumanist philosophy that does not respect the inherent and unique dignity of the human being. May God right the ship before this anti-human worldview completely dominates. God be with you, dear ones.
And now, in what the researchers are calling the first study of its kind, Sinclair and his team were able to age the mice and then make them younger again. In this video shared by Harvard, these mice are the same age, yet one is visibly older. How did they do it? By literally breaking up the DNA, forcing the body to repair itself, which he says accelerates aging.
The mice actually do not just look old, but they literally are old by about 50%. They get great hair, they get wrinkled skin, their organs are old.
The results were shared at a conference earlier this year and are under review for publication. Covered how cells can be reprogrammed to be stem cells, which then can develop into cells of any type in the body. Using this method, Sinclair showed me how his team is trying to study memory loss by turning skin cells into tiny brains.
Here they are, these little beauties. So these are mini human brains we've old by about 50%. They get great hair, they get wrinkled skin, their organs are old.
The results were shared at a conference earlier this year and are under review for publication. Covered how cells can be reprogrammed to be stem cells, which then can develop